So hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss dark romanticism. So as the name suggests, it is completely dark. There is no way for a light to reach. And also because of the theme employed in dark romanticism, it is called dark romanticism. What is the theme of dark romanticism? It invokes fear and terror within the reader. That is what dark romanticism is all about. It invokes fear and terror upon the reader's mind. So even if you look at this picture, just look at this picture. In this picture itself, there is an abbey, an isolated abbey out there, and then there is a tree trunk out here, which actually looks like a demon's hand or a devil's hand. So this also brings to our mind or brings to light, throws light upon which prose which prose work or which prose work, that is a short story by Edgar Allan Poe, that is The Fall of the House of the Usher. It somewhere brings to us a memory of that particular work, The Fall of the House of the Usher. So this is what a dark romanticism looks like. A dark romantic work will look like. There will be black hanging clouds, there will be no sufficient light, and then there will be an isolated abbey or a cathedral, and which will have wild sculptures of creatures and all that. So it will be horrific and terrific actually. The moment we look at it, we'll feel terror, we'll be in fear actually. The same way, if you read a work, also you'll feel the same way. And at the same time, when we also look at another work by another work called Northanger Abbey. If you haven't watched the movie, please to watch the movie. There also the main protagonist will feel some sort of a fear and terror because she has read a lot about cathedrals and abbeys and she's so scared about it that cathedrals and abbeys are like that. I mean, they'll invoke terror and fear and some imaginary or supernatural forces out there inside the cathedrals or abbeys. So make sure to watch that movie, Northanger Abbey too, so that you'll get an idea about what dark romanticism is all about. So let's move on to the next slide. Now coming to the second slide, subgenre of romanticism. What is a subgenre of romanticism? Subgenre of romanticism is dark romanticism. Dark romanticism is actually a branch of romanticism, and it was also called anti-transcendentalism. Anti-transcendentalism or opposite to transcendentalism or reaction to transcendentalism. Transcendentalism was popular in the 19th century America. We have Sophia Peabody, who was very famous transcendentalist, and she was also the wife of Nathaniel Hawthorne. Now, Nathaniel Hawthorne is actually a dark romanticist. See the uh, connection between them. Sophia Peabody and Nathaniel Hawthorne, they both are husband and wife, and Sophia Peabody is a transcendentalist, and Nathaniel Hawthorne is a dark romanticist. So they both were prominent figures, and then what happened is that these people, Nathaniel Hawthorne and Sophia Peabody, they lived at Brook Farm. Brook Farm is actually a particular utopian place for transcendentalists, and they lived there for a short period of time. As the name suggests, dark romanticism is all about darkness and doom, satans and devils, demons, ghosts and ghouls, etc., which is against divinity and nature. So these dark romantics, they never talked about nature or angels and all these things. What they talked about was all about satans, devils, horror, terror, darkness, such things. Dark romanticism originated as a reaction against transcendentalism. So it actually originated as a reaction against transcendentalism. Transcendentalism emerged in the 19th century, that is around 1836 till 1842 was a time period of transcendentalism. So during this time, it is during this time that when dark romanticism emerged as a reaction against transcendentalism. Now, who were the transcendentalists? Some of the transcendentalists are Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, and Margaret Fuller. Now, Henry David Thoreau, we all are familiar with Henry David Thoreau's work, Walden, wherein he talks about a particular forest, wherein he goes to a particular nature or a forest area and he lives there. So that is what he talks about in this particular work called Walden. So do check out Walden Emerson and Margaret Fuller so that you'll get to know what transcendentalism is all about. Transcendentalism gained popularity through 1836 till 1840s. Now, Edgar Allan Poe, Herman Melville, and Nathaniel Hawthorne found transcendentalism very optimistic and egotistical. So, who all found it optimistic and egotistical? Edgar Allan Poe, Herman Melville, and Nathaniel Hawthorne. These people found transcendentalism very optimistic and egotistical too. So because of which they decided to come up with something called anti-transcendentalism or reaction against transcendentalism. Thereby they came up with a new way of writing called dark romanticism. Edgar Allan Poe, Herman Melville, Emily Dickinson, Washington Irving, and Nathaniel Hawthorne considered as dark romantics. These people are considered as dark romantics because they deal with sin, they deal with guilt, they deal with fear, they deal with terror, they deal with devilish kind of people, so hellish life and all these things. If you look at Nathaniel Hawthorne's particular work, Scarlet Letter. If you look at Scarlet Letter itself, there is a lady, like she is actually termed as adulteress and all that, wherein she is considered very she gives birth to a child and she doesn't know who the I mean she knows who the father is, but she doesn't open up in front of all the other people, and later on she is considered as an adulteress, and finally through her kindness and through her humility and all that, she is finally uplifted as an angel. That's all about Scarlet Letter. Do read Scarlet Letter so that you'll get to know. Even the way he describes the prison and all that, it actually shows dark imagery and all that in Nathaniel Hawthorne's Scarlet Letter. So do read that work so that you'll get to know what kind of forces or what kind of themes have been used in these works. So you'll know what dark romanticism is all about. It's full of darkness. There is no light actually. So that's dark romanticism. Now, coming to characteristics of dark romanticism, prone to sin and self-destruction. Like I said before, the person is prone to sin, like committing sin and also self-destruction. Through committing sin, the person is actually committing self-destruction too. In Fall of the House of the Usher too, the Roderick himself is actually he's self-destructing himself in that particular short story. The Fall of the House of the Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, he's actually committing self-destruction in that particular work, and then do not possess divinity and wisdom inherently. So there is no divinity and there is no wisdom inside the particular person in the dark romantic works and all that. Again, I'm referring to the Fall of the House of the Usher, wherein Roderick, he is not at all interested in good things at all. He's interested in all these kinds of negativities and all that. He doesn't listen to good songs, he doesn't smell good things, he doesn't want to listen to anything something good, pleasant things. So such things are given in the particular work, The Fall of the House of the Usher. So that actually shows that okay, dark romanticism is all about that, wherein the person is completely against all the things that are pleasant, something which is very pleasant, something which is very positive. The person cannot conceive what is positive, the person cannot conceive what is very pleasant. He or she is attracted towards what is negative. So that is the characteristic of dark romanticism. Embrace the ideas of humanized evil in the form of Satan, devils, vampires, and ghouls or ghosts and all that. So yeah, ideas of humanized evil, like whatever humans do, whatever evil deeds that humans do, is actually converted in the form of Satan, devils, vampires, and ghouls. Less confident about the notion that perfection is an innate quality of mankind. See, perfection is an innate quality of mankind. So dark romantics thought that perfection is not the innate quality of mankind. I mean, mankind doesn't possess that quality at all. What quality? The innate quality of perfecting themselves. So that is not there with the dark romantist. Whereas transcendentalists, they gave hope for reform, change. Transcendentalism was all for change. They supported change, and they thought that light is very powerful compared to dark. Even a thin ray of light is capable of transforming anything. That's what transcendentalism thought. Whereas dark romanticism, they never let a single light enter into the life of the person or in their works. That is dark romanticism. Natural world is dark, decaying, and mysterious. Its revelations are evil and hellish. This is for dark romantist. Natural world is dark, decaying, and mysterious. Its revelations are evil and hellish. So there is no hope for reform or change, or there is no hope for light actually. Now moving on to the next slide. So now there is this powerful victimizer and helpless victim. See, if you look at this particular work by Edgar Allan Poe, that is The Fall of the House of the Usher, we can see the Roderick telling this particular narrator that, I have been ill. I have this particular illness and I have been trapped inside this illness. Because of this illness, I cannot even come out of this house. Come out of this house in the sense, come out of this abbey. I'm entrapped in this particular situation. This illness has taken over me. This illness is controlling me. I cannot even think anything good. I cannot think anything pleasant. I cannot read anything pleasant. I cannot talk anything pleasant. I cannot taste anything good. Taste something in a better way. Like he says, he cannot even eat something that is very tasty. So his situation is such that everything that is positive has become sort of disgusting to him, and the things that are negative has become actually soothing for him. In The Fall of the House of the Usher, when we read that Fall of the House of the Usher short story, we'll get to know what Roderick is going through. In the same way, there is a powerful victimizer and helpless victim. Roderick has become the helpless victim, and the powerful victimizer is a supernatural force that is controlling him. Supernatural force, or maybe the mind, the illness, the particular illness is a supernatural force out there. That particular illness is actually controlling, a peculiar illness is actually controlling Roderick from enjoying whatever he likes. Now, victim is inside impenetrable buildings. This actually shows how psychologically and spiritually a person is defeated without any escape to the other world. Yeah. So that is, see, even the Roderick also in The Fall of the House of the Usher also, Roderick is inside an abbey, and at the same time he's actually under the control of the illness. So yes, he is actually entrapped inside an abbey, and he's also under the control of the illness, because of which even the food that he loves so much, he cannot taste it. It tastes bland for him. He cannot enjoy music. Even the good music is actually some sort, good music will feel like, it irritates him actually, good music. So such things happen to Roderick. Now, setting inside an abbey or cathedral, secret passageways and hidden trapdoors. There will be hidden trapdoors, secret passageways, and vaults also will be there. Vault in the sense VAULTS, vaults. Vaults means, see, in The Fall of the House of the Usher itself, if you read that short story, we'll get to know that Madeline is a sister of Roderick. So she has been buried inside a vault after she is dead. So that shows that there are vaults inside this particular House of the Usher. Then terror, doom, mystery, fear, oppressiveness, connoting to man's spiritual death also happens in uh, um, dark romanticism, which can also be seen in The Fall of the House of the Usher. Storms and lightning also is there. Fall of the House of the Usher also, we can see there is a stormy night towards the end, and the narrator, he flees from that particular abbey because he's afraid that something strange is going to happen. And not only that, he also feels that if he stay there for more, then he also will become just like Roderick. So he doesn't want to be like that. So because of which he runs away from that particular abbey. And also, dark romanticism states that when we are awake, we take decisions rationally, we think rationally, we act rationally. But when we are asleep, the rational thought is actually asleep, and because of which the supernatural or the unconscious part comes into life. Unconscious part is a supernatural elements, comes up. Whereas when we are awake, we are rationally thinking, we act rationally. Reason comes into the forefront. Whereas when we sleep, it is the supernatural forces that comes into the forefront. That's what dark romanticism says about, or the characteristics of dark romanticism. Now let's move on to the next slide. So transcendentalism is for social reform. So transcendentalism, like I said before, there is a chance for social reform or reform of a person. Whereas dark romanticism shows a person's inability to change or reform and fall prey to sin and self-destruction. So in The Fall of the House of the Usher, there is sin and self-destruction. The sin is, Roderick says that, we buried her before she was dead itself, and now Madeline has come back alive to kill me. Roderick says like that. Now she has come back alive for me. So there is actually sin and there is self-destruction. Now Roderick is actually self-destructing himself because of the illness, because of the things that he hears and all that. he's self-destructing himself actually. So there is self-destruction and there is sin, such things involved in the fall of the house of the Usher. Whereas in transcendentalism, you feel low, you feel depressed. What you do is that you go and stay in nature, you get connected with nature, and you slowly reform. There is a chance that you may reform. You sort of change yourself. You become positive after leaving or getting connected with the nature. You become positive. That is what transcendentalism is all about. Dark romanticism is not like that. Dark romanticism is like wherein you have committed sin or something, then through sin you actually go to self-destruction. Means after committing sin you will feel guilty, and because of guiltiness you actually take the path of self-destruction. This is what happens in dark romanticism. I hope it's clear. Now coming to relation to Gothic fiction. Dark romanticism is also called Gothic literature. Okay. So somewhere they are related, Gothic fiction and dark romanticism. Gothic fiction originated with Horace Walpole's novel The Castle of Otranto. I hope everybody knows it. That Gothic fiction originated with the Horace Walpole's novel The Castle of Otranto in 1764. Edgar Allan Poe's work here influenced by Gothic fiction. So Edgar Allan Poe's works were influenced by Gothic fiction too. Chandra, the deeply influenced by dark romanticism, is graphic novels. Graphic novels like Batman and all that, they were deeply influenced by dark romanticism. Sometimes dark romanticism is also called as Gothic literature because both employ the same theme and symbols throughout the story. Yeah, Gothic architecture also, if you look at Gothic architecture, there will be wild creatures and all that, the sculpting of wild creatures and all that in Gothic architecture. And Gothic theme is also very dark and horror and terror and all that. The same thing is applied in dark romanticism as well. Gothic literature writers or dark romantics were called anti-transcendentalists. Yes, or our romanticists were called as anti-transcendentalists because they were against transcendentalism. Transcendentalism was for positivity, reform, and also change, for a change and all that. And whereas dark romanticism was not for reform, it was completely wherein you surrender towards a supernatural force or maybe illness or something, or you commit sin and then you cannot escape, and not escape, you cannot reform from that sin. Moving on to next slide. Romanticism is middle class form, whereas Gothic or dark romanticism is lower class fiction. Now there is a categorization here. Romanticism is for the middle class form. See, romanticism is for middle class form, whereas Gothic or dark romanticism is for lower class fiction. It is for lower class fiction. Remember, it's lower class fiction. Now, coming to the next point, dark romanticism developed from the dark side of Puritan literature, like the original sin, innate wickedness of human beings, and predestination. So, dark romanticism, where did it originate? It actually originated from the dark side of Puritanism, wherein they talked about original sin, then also wickedness of human beings, innate wickedness of human beings, and also the predestination. Predestination, as in things are predestined. That is, before a child is born, it is already predestined that the child, whether the child goes to heaven or hell. So it is already predestined before the birth, whether one goes to hell or heaven, it is already predestined. That is all about predestination. Now we all know about original sin. Original sin is about Adam and Eve. What Eve and Adam does, you know that the original sin, what happens after eating the apple from the tree of knowledge, So now, the next point. Transcendentalists wrote essays, whereas dark romantics created short stories. So, these dark romantics, they created short stories, and whereas transcendentalists wrote essays. Best example is Henry David Thoreau, H.D. Thoreau. He wrote essays about Walden and all that. So, you can check that out. Transcendentalist, what mainly they wrote about. So, they wrote about essays, whereas dark romantics, they created short stories. Please do read The Fall of the House of the Usher, because if you read The Fall of the House of the Usher, you'll get a clear-cut idea about what dark romanticism is all about. The words used in the particular work, there have been words like dark room and all that. So certain words are there which has been used by dark romantics. Such things are there in The Fall of the House of the Usher. Then the setting, the theme, and all those things, everything can be studied from The Fall of the House of the Usher. So do read The Fall of the House of the Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. Now there are British authors as well who are also called as dark romantics. British authors who are called as dark romantics are Lord Byron, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Mary Shelley, and John William Polidori. Of course, we know Samuel Taylor Coleridge particular poem, the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, wherein he has employed supernatural forces like snakes and all that, and also the sign of albatross and all that. Such things have been employed in particular poem, the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And then Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Now, Frankenstein is also kind of it shows sort of a doomsday kind of a thing wherein everything is going to end, like the uh, uh, Prometheus has been unbound. Such kind of a situation has been shown in Mary Shelley's the Frankenstein. So do check out all these things. Even Lord Byron also you can check out. So Lord Byron, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and Mary Shelley, and John William Polidori. So these people are called as dark romantics in the British, under the British authors. So please do check out these people as well. Okay, thank you.